Hello, everybody, and welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Julia. I'm part of the team here at GeoTime, and I'm very, very excited to welcome you to our webinar today. Today's topic has probably been one of the most highly requested topics we've had over the last year or so, and that topic is public speaking. And I cannot think of anyone better to run this webinar/workshop today than Dawn Reevy, who's joining us today from Excellence in Analytics. Dawn has a packed agenda for you all, so I won't take up too much time. What I did want to go over quickly are just a few housekeeping items. And if you have attended our previous session with Dawn, you will know that today is going to be very interactive and there's going to be lots of room for participation. And we are going to run this just slightly different how we do some of our other webinars. So to participate, we ask that you use the chat box. Usually we say post all your questions in the Q&A, but today we really want you to use the chat box instead. That way that Dawn and myself and everybody on the webinar as well can see your responses in real time and actively participate. And I see a lot of you are posting in the chat as well, so making sure that works for you. If you haven't, you can go ahead and let us know where you're joining from today, just to make sure it's working for you. And near the end of the presentation, there's also going to be an opportunity to come off of mute and actually practice what you've learned. So Dawn's going to let you know some exercises that she's going to do. And if you're comfortable and you do want to speak live, you can raise your hand using this little raise hand button over here that you'll see on your screen. And Dawn will go ahead and select someone, and then you'll have the ability to turn on your mic and actually practice with her. So we'll have some time for that at the end as well. Okay, I see the chat box is working for all of you. That's great. And one last thing, at the end of the webinar, a survey is going to pop up. You can go ahead and leave some feedback for us and Dawn and provide any suggestions for other topics you'd like to see as well. After, you'll also get an email over the next day or so, and that email has the recording from today, your certificate of attendance, any resources that might have been mentioned, as well as links to upcoming webinars if you did want to register for those. And that just about does it for me. Dawn, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to you so you can go ahead and share your screen and get started.
Awesome. Fantastic. Let me go ahead and get on in here and do that. And here we are. Thank you all for showing up here. There's 388 of you registered for this wonderful session in part with GeoTime, and we're really happy to be here partnering again and providing some great tools for all of you. So I want to start off, first of all, I see a bunch of you continuing to say where you're from, so go ahead and continue to let us know. I did see Laura from Massachusetts. I was excited to see you. Ashley, I'm seeing a bunch of you pop in here as well. So glad you are joining live. And if you're listening to the replay, you're definitely going to get some value as well. So first things first, you are at Public Speaking and Effective Communication for Law Enforcement Analysts. And now really this applies to pretty much everybody, right? We want to be great public speakers. But before we get into all the techniques that we're going to share with you today, I want to know, what do you want to learn? What do you want to learn over the next 90 minutes? How do you want to be served? What's the public speaking question that you have been craving to get answered? And I'm going to make sure that we get to it or get back to afterwards, because we have a jam-packed schedule today. So go ahead in the chat. Let me know, what are you hoping to achieve today? What are you hoping to learn? What is it that you want to know about public speaking? Okay. Building confidence. Yes. Building confidence. We're going to work a lot on that. How to be more confident, says Brittany, Laura. There's several of you who are thinking the same thing. You're like, I didn't type it in there, but I want to learn how to be more confident. Yes. Oh, look at it all. It's all coming in now. How to not be nervous, how to articulate. Yes. How to keep the audience's attention, stay focused. I love it. These are all things, speaking to complex topics without over-explaining, being clear and concise, staying focused. Yes. We're going to get through so many of these things. So let's go ahead and keep it coming, because I'm going to be checking out the chat make sure we're all on the same page. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Dawn Reedy, and I've been in this law enforcement environment since 1998. I mean, maybe some of you were born back then, right? But I've been in the field for 24 years, more or less, right? And so I've learned a few things about speaking in public that I want to share with you today that I think are going to be very, very helpful. So I speak in public all over the globe, in Saudi Arabia, in California, in Florida, all over the United States, virtually through Excellence in Analytics, through ICP, analysts, and ISATAP, a bunch of other acronyms that I can't remember right now. But I love, love, love sharing insight and input and kind of thinking a little bit outside of the box, right? And so today I'm going to share some of that with you. Okay. Sergeant not using the word. Yeah, I can understand that for sure. We're going to talk through that. So what exactly are we going to talk about today? Ooh. We are number one. I think many of you wanted to learn the confidence and mindset piece, right? And so we're going to focus on how to build your confidence and what mindset do we have to really create that confidence that we need to deliver excellence, right? Because we have important things to say. So how do we build our confidence to do just that? Yep. Yes, someone is asking if we can access the recording afterwards. And yes, you will receive a link to this recording through myself and through GeoTime. So, you'll receive everything that you need, but I encourage you to stay on board because at the end of this, we're going to have some live interaction. Well, throughout, we're going to have live interaction, but at the end, there's going to be a special few of you who will be invited to come on in and practice with me. So that's number 4, your bonus tips and practice time. So stay on board here so that you might be the one selected to actually get that one-on-one coaching, one-on-one hands-on experience here today. So we're going to talk about confidence and mindset. We're also going to talk about language, tone, and delivery and what that means, what language to use, how to avoid those likes and ums, the tone, and that delivery. And there's a couple things in here that you probably have not heard before. They're specialty, all right? We're also going to talk about structure strategy. How can you structure your presentations so that they are absorbed, so that they are received? And so I'm going to go ahead and put on my timer here to make sure that I stay on track, all right? So we're going to talk about the structure strategy. How do you actually build out a presentation? How do you deliver that presentation, right, for law enforcement, from a law enforcement perspective? And again, the last section, we're going to talk about some bonus tips, some questions that I know you're probably already thinking about, so I created some answers to them. And then, should we have time, we're going to pop you on board here and do that one-on-one practice with you. All right. Okay. So let's get going here. So the first things first, why is public speaking so important? And so, the reality is, as a law enforcement professional, we need to deliver very important information. And so we want to do that in a way that keeps other people interested, okay? That motivates others to act. You don't want someone sitting through your presentation and walking away with 0 action steps. You want folks really walking away with, hey, what Dawn said made a ton of sense, and now I'm going to go implement something, right? And so, another big key here is career advancement, right? So when you're able to publicly speak and to have that confidence, it doesn't always have to be in presentation style. It could certainly be in a room with your chief, with your executives, with your mayor, with other folks, with other analysts. And so being able to speak with confidence and with clear, direct is really going to help you advance your career. Okay. You can become that thought leader. You can get out all that jumbled stuff in your head into something articulate and really be that thought leader in industry. You can be one of those leaders really providing that great feedback and that great information for your analytical community. It allows you, public speaking allows you to make those social connections with other people. If you're finding yourself very intimidated being in the back of the room, maybe not communicating with anyone in a conference or a training, then you're not going to be able to make some of the social connections that are critical for your role in analytics. Okay, let's see. The chat is filling up here. Keep it going. Keep it going. Increasing your professional network, being able to really connect with others and increase your professional network. I've met the most amazing people by being able to articulate my message well and then hear their message that's articulated very well as well. Right? It provides more opportunities for you to succeed when you can enunciate, when you can deliver a message with excellence. And, your confidence is boosted. When you give a kick butt presentation, you have boosted your confidence. You feel personally satisfied. You're able to think critically and not have all this chaos going on inside of you. You're able to articulate well. Have you ever been in that situation where maybe you're with your chief and nothing is coming to your tongue? You're like, I have all these thoughts and they're just not being sent through my mouth. Well, having good public speaking technique and strategy is going to help you think critically and deliver critically. Okay. You can form better arguments, better, your side of things, and be able to really better articulate yourself. You'll also be able to be a much better listener when you're not so worried about what you're going to say next. And so ultimately, your job is to deliver critical information in a clear and concise way. And so public speaking is so important so that you can do just that. Okay. So the first step that we are talking about, we have our 4 categories. The first one is confidence and mindset. This is the good one. So this section talks about what is your confidence source. It also talks about mindset and biology, what your mindset actually does physically to your body. And then for those of you taking notes, get those notebooks ready because we're going to give you a formula to build your confidence. All right. So it's going to be a fun time here today. So let's talk about this first. Where does your confidence come from? Does your confidence come from the results? Like, do you have to get an A+ in order to feel confident about yourself? Do you have to catch the bad guy in order to feel confident about yourself? Does your predictive analysis have to be on point and perfect in order for you to feel confident about yourself? If that's you, you're in that results area, that little box right there that says results, and your confidence source rather is built through your results. If your confidence is built through mistakes, let's say you feel confident when you don't make any mistakes, right? Or you feel confident when other people are saying to you, hey, Dawn, you did a great job. If those 3 are your confidence sources, I'm going to ask you to switch it just a little bit. I'm going to ask you to write this down right now. My effort shall be my confidence source. My effort. And so when you focus on your effort and not necessarily the mistakes that you're making or how other people are responding, because there's not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay, right? And the results, right? You delivered the best presentation ever. Well, sometimes it could be on a scrap of paper, on a napkin, and it could be amazing. So it's really your effort that you want to gauge your confidence source on. So that's the first thing. Nobody can take away your effort, right? When you are focused, when you have effort, that comes through. All right, let's go to the next slide here. And so people often ask me, Dawn, what if I mess up? What if I screw up? What if I don't say the right thing? Is that anyone here? If that's you, if that's your number one fear, that you're going to screw up when you give a presentation, then go ahead and write, that's my fear, right? Have you said to yourself, I don't know anything special. What can I possibly present on? I want you to go ahead and say, I don't know anything special in the chat right now. If you say, what if my audience doesn't listen to me? These are fears that run through the analyst's mind. They also run through your chief's mind sometimes too, right? What if you say to yourself, I'm not a good speaker? Maybe that's your fear, that you're just not a good speaker. I hear this one all the time. Who am I? Who am I to teach others? Who am I to teach other people? I want you to get that out of your head. You are of value. You have so much. You are the closest thing to perfection that your agency has. Okay. So all these fears are normal. They're natural. And we're going to show you ways to combat them. All right. We're going to shift the thinking a little bit. Brittany says, would effort include knowing the facts, information because you spent time on it constantly? Exactly, Brittany, the effort. So if you walk in front of a group and you're like, I didn't really prepare for this, then you should not be proud of yourself. I mean, oftentimes oftentimes we are not able to prepare, right? But because we're in the data all the time, that is our preparation. Okay, that is our preparation. So that's a great question. So changing your story can actually change your biology. So I'm going to ask you to think about this. Are you an impossibility thinker? Are you a person who says to yourself, my pattern is to operate out of memory? So you have a presentation that you're delivering and you say to yourself, oh, I always screw up. I always say too many times. I always, don't present the way that I want to present, right? Are you an impossibility thinker where you're automatically saying everything that could possibly go wrong because you're living in your past mindset, right? When you operate out of your memory or your history, you're going to continue to find those things. It's like buying that red Corvette, right? You never saw a red Corvette before until you buy one, and then all of a sudden you see them everywhere, right? So it's kind of the same thing. Are you constantly telling yourself a negative message, and now the universe is sending you that negative message in return, right? You're like, oh, yep, I screwed up because I knew I would. So are you an impossibility thinker, or are you an imagination thinker? Do you say to yourself, you know what? I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna really deliver excellence. My effort was there, like Brittany says, my effort's there. I'm really gonna rock this. And you actually envision yourself doing a really good job, right? So think to yourself, am I that person who lives in that impossibility thinking, or am I that imagination thinker? When you are that impossibility thinker, you actually bring on the sweats. You actually bring on the fluctuations in your voice. You actually bring on the negativity that comes along with that kind of thinking, the biological negativity. So being an imagination thinker, projecting, right? Thinking, things happen twice, once in your mind and once in reality. So when you think it in a positive way, then it comes into reality in that positive way. So create dreams and thoughts that you desire to be true. See yourself presenting with excellence, right? Okay, so the confidence continuum. So this is something that I want you to spend a moment and just really think about for a moment. What does no confidence, when you have no self-confidence, many of you are struggling with the self-confidence piece. So what does that mean? No confidence means that you are not keeping promises to yourself on a regular basis. Okay, this is the psychology behind this. You're not keeping promises to yourself on a regular basis. Maybe you say, I'm going to, turn off my computer at 5 o'clock and then it's 5:30. Or you say, I'm going to work out today, but then you don't. Like, you just stop keeping promises to yourself. And so that does not build confidence. When you are not keeping those promises to yourself, you're actually reducing your confidence. A self-confident person begins to start to keep those promises that they make to themselves. They say, hey, I'm going to leave work at 5 o'clock, and then they leave work at 5 o'clock, right? They keep those promises that they have made to themselves. What I'm asking us to do here is become superhuman confident. So the mentality here is we not only keep our promises that we tell ourselves, right? I will take care of myself, I will eat well, whatever it is, but above that, I'm going to do one more. Right? So above that, I'm going to do one more. Yeah, Lisa, this one relates to you quite a bit. Yes, exactly. So I'm sure this relates to a few people here. All right, I'm seeing all the chat comments. These are fantastic. So our goal here, write down in your notes, build superhuman confidence, make promises to myself and keep them, and then one up it, right? So if my confidence is I'm going to walk 2 miles, 3 days a week, then maybe you walk 2.5. You one up it, right? You really commit to yourself. You make promises to yourself that you fulfill. That builds confidence. So y'all who are saying to yourself, how do I build my confidence? I'm giving you tools. That builds confidence, okay? So the formula here that we're really talking about is that intention, that superhuman intention, right? That superhuman confidence, that delivery of I'm gonna be confident in myself and commit to myself and +1, right? So that intentional piece. Then beliefs, that mindset, that really shifting from that historical thinking kind of mindset to that possibility mindset thinking, right? And then this last one is associations, really associating with yourself with others who can help rise you. This is the trilogy of confidence. Okay. So if you want to be around other people who can rise you, that association is going to build your confidence too. So if you're saying to yourself, I need to build confidence, get that belief in you right now. Think through that, set the intention, and associate yourself with people who are going to rise you. This is a formula to build superhuman confidence. Okay. So that really is what we have here about confidence. Allow your intention to be the source of your confidence, not your results, not what people think of you. Allow your intention. My intention is good. My intention is to deliver excellence. I intend to serve. Let your intention be that builder of confidence for you, that confidence source. Change your story. Don't operate in the past, operate in what you want to be true. And this can be something that's a little tricky. And so you might want to do some mindset practices. We have some tools for you over in our Excellence in Analytics website that can help you build your confidence in this way. Being superhuman confidence, build that superhuman confidence by keeping promises to yourself and then upping it once, right? Or twice, right? Really building your confidence means keeping promises to yourself. And then of course, your beliefs, it's all together, your beliefs, your intention, and then adding in the people that you associate with, the positivity that you bring into your life. All right. Kamika agrees with that. Fantastic. Yes. Thank you. Next, we're going to get into language, tone, and delivery. So now, you may have heard some of these before, but I promise you, pay attention. There's going to be things that you have not heard before. All right. So we're going to dive into language, tone, and delivery right now. This is broken down into 3 parts: words, pitch, and inflection. The words that you use, like your pitch, right? How you deliver, and then your inflection. And we're going to get into what all those mean. Rhythm and equanimity. Rhythm and equanimity is a critical part of public speaking, but also speaking with the people around you, maybe in a small room, right? Then I'm going to share with you my 4 anchors strategy. I'm going to do this at ISCA in a couple of weeks. I'm going to do this at Talia in a couple of weeks. I use this strategy all the time and it absolutely works. So you're going to want to know that. Let's see. Thank you for putting into words. Oh, good. I'm so glad that has helped you. Fantastic. So let's get to section 2, language, tone, and delivery. All right, so language. We all know this, and I'm just going to say this because this is something that we really want to pay attention to. Limit your your like. Limit your jokes. Limit your jokes, for the love of goodness. Limit your jokes, right? Mumbles, it can be very easy to mumble. Limit your mumbles, right? And I've seen people do this before where they say, hey, I had a bad morning. I actually saw this one detective was presenting to a group of chiefs and he walked into the room and he said, this is what not to do. He walked into the room and he said, yeah, my chief just told me I had to be here. So I don't have anything really prepared, but I can do the best I can. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Let's see. Say yes to imagery. Imagine yourself in front of that, maybe as I'm delivering this presentation, I say to you, imagine yourself delivering the most beautiful presentation of your life. Imagine the feeling that you get afterwards. Show people imagery, right? Really talk about the scenery, talk about the colors, the feeling that you would get should you be in that exact scenario. Give people the image of what it is that is enticing and intriguing in a presentation. Talk about purpose, right? So the purpose of this presentation is to give you some tools to be more confident in talking one-on-one with someone or in public speaking. Here's the purpose. Tell people the purpose up front so they know what they're getting into. And then also set the expectations. If you noticed in the beginning of this presentation, I said to you, what do you want to know, right? And then I asked you, what do you want to know? And then I said to you, we have a lot to cover today and we're going to get to it at, we'll get to X, Y, and Z, right? So I told you the expectations. I've been telling you the expectations all along. Take out your notebooks, write this down. That's sharing some expectations of what I expect, right? Whether or not you took out a piece of paper doesn't really matter. I hope that you did, but it doesn't really matter. But I've delivered my expectation. I've told you what to expect in this delivery, and I've got you excited. So be sure to provide imagery, be sure to provide purpose in the very, very beginning, and be sure to provide that expectation. Right? So you can expect to be here. And I said to you in the very beginning, for 90 minutes, what do you expect to learn, or what do you want to learn? So you see how I did that? You can do that too. And we're going to talk about structure in just a little bit. Okay. So what is pitch and inflection? Pitch is so important when you are delivering one-on-one in a small group or with people. So you don't want to be in this monotone. I will tell you, like, I've seen analysts do that, where they walk up and they say, you know, keynote speaker, best-selling author, certified trainer, subject matter expert. I mean, no one cares when you're talking like that. So get the monotone out. Use inflection throughout your speech really to indicate confidence, finality, power, and certainty. So what is inflection? I just did it right there. It's how I delivered the message to you. So here's inflection poorly. Use inflection throughout your speech to indicate confidence, finality, power, and certainty. That's inflection done poorly. Here's it done well. Use inflection throughout your speech to indicate confidence, finality, power, and certainty. So you see how I kind of paused, right? And I have like really an attention to certain words. So that's what you want to do, is you want to define the key points that you're trying to drive home and really inflect on them. I don't think that's a word, but we're going to say it. We're going to go with it, right? Kevin says, I think jokes come into play the longer the presentation is. There's a huge difference between presenting for an hour and presenting for an entire day. Videos, jokes, etc. help keep the audience attention. Absolutely. So if you have a day-long presentation, you got to put in someone's voice other than yours. All right. So I have Jim Mallard and Christopher Bruce. I stole some really fun videos from them that I deliver in my presentations all the time to give it like a little break. If you have these one-day presentations, I teach for a week at a time, 8 hours a day. Yes, you better throw some jokes in there. The jokes that I'm talking about that you don't want to do are the ones that are insensitive. So I went to a presentation once, and this gentleman thought he was being really funny when he got up to the front, and he said, "Sorry, everyone, I'm late. I was behind an Asian female." And I'm like, what did he just say? Those are not the jokes that you want to deliver. So Kevin is correct that you want to really break up your presentation if it's quite long, but really be careful about the kind of jokes that you tell, because you don't want anyone to be offended. Now, this last one is your question voice. I went to a presentation the other day where the presenter was saying and talking like this, and it drove me flipping nuts, okay? So you think about this for a second. You have positive things to say. So if you're talking like this, right, we have lots to get through. What do you want to learn? Like if you're talking like that, you're actually giving me a question. Don't talk like that. Give that confident delivery. When you ask a question at the end of your sentences, it can be quite annoying, right? And so don't ask questions unless it's a real question. Okay, so how many of you do that? How many of you speak in the question voice and you're like, oh my God, she got me, she got me. I have to stop talking in the question voice, right? So this is something that hopefully you can get a handle on. Just really be able to bring your pitch and inflection down as you're completing your sentences and not raise it up. All right, bring it down. Okay, all right. Let's talk about rhythm and equanimity. So rhythm, the flow of your voice, equanimity, the being okay with whatever happens, beating like it's like a drum, right? So dun 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 dun. Breathe, right? Sticking to 3s or 4s. So when you give a presentation, you want to have 3 main topics like we do here, right? You want to have 3 main topics. Stick to 3s. They're so much easier to remember than this long laundry list of like 22 topics. when I deliver 1-day presentations or 5-day presentations, everything is broken down into threes, chunks of threes, right? So we have a 45-minute presentation. We have 3 main topics that we want to touch upon. The next 45 minutes is 3 main ideas, right? So you want to have these chunks of threes, and you want to breathe as you're presenting. Okay. If you struggle, if you're saying, oh gosh, I can't remember what I'm supposed to say, take a deep breath, realize that it's okay, and you will jump back in. All right. It's like beating a drum, beating a drum, beating a drum. All right. So that's a really important one. So if you find that you are speaking very quickly and you don't know how to stop yourself and you're going so fast, then come back and say, I'm not speaking very quickly. I can slow myself down, and here I go. All right. I'm from New England, and I actually speak very quickly. And when I'm in Texas, when I remember presenting in Texas for the first time, and just like, slow down and don't drink coffee the next time you come here. So really knowing your audience is quite key. All right, you guys are quiet in the chat right now. Go ahead in the chat, all of you, and let me know what's resonating with you right now. Is any of this new? Is any of this challenging you specifically? Is something here saying to you, oh, I need to work on this, right? Demetrius, I get excited about presenting things. I'm passionate. Yes, I like it. 3 main topics. Fantastic. Everything is helping. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. I fast talk and never knew, remembering to breathe, tone. Oh, Brittany, you're from New Jersey. You and I have a lot of work to do, huh, Brittany? Sandra as well. Inflection and speed. You tend to speak faster and go down. Yes. Rodney from New York, you have my problem, Rodney, don't you? It takes a little bit of work. Great. Thank you for all of these comments. I'm reading them all. And I'm actually going to go back after this training and take a look at all the comments to make sure that I answered all of your questions. Okay. Now we are talking about Sherry. Oh, I'm going to pause here. Sherry says, I'm just so nervous in front of people. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that slide about mindset. Is that a story about your past that you're telling yourself? I'm just so nervous around people. You've just told yourself that you're nervous. So guess what? You're going to be nervous. I'm going to take Sherry, because she had the courage to put this on here. We're going to take her as an example, but I know that this applies to more of you than just her. So instead of living in that history, she might say to herself, I am on a journey to public speaking with excellence, and I'm working toward speaking with flow, with confidence, with energy. So eliminating that nervous talk and really saying, I'm on a journey. Now, I don't necessarily believe in telling yourself you're the thing before you're the thing, but I do believe in saying I'm on a journey. I'm working intently to achieve great public speaking skills, right? Okay, beautiful. Yes, Mary, let's see, problem, stay focus, beautiful. I love these. Okay, I'm about to teach you this 4 anchor strategy. So for those of you, if you're going to IACA, the conference, go ahead and plug in IACA right here. We're gonna be saying hi to GeoTime over there. There's gonna be some representatives. We'll say hi to GeoTime over there. But if you're going to the IACA training in Chicago in just a few weeks, go ahead and type in IACA, International Association of Crime Analysts. I will be there presenting, and I will be using this very strategy. Oh, Rebecca's here. Yes. Hopefully it gets approved. Rebecca, go anyway. Whether or not it's approved, go anyway. So, okay, I won't get you in trouble. You give yourself a pep talk. Yes, exactly. So several of you are going to IACA. Find me. I want to meet you in person. All right, find me. I think I'm presenting on Thursday, so find me. All right, so 4 anchor strategy. So this is the strategy. Now this box right here, imagine it to be your room that you're delivering a presentation. Now this really can be applied to a room of 20 people and a room of 200 people, right? So this can be applied on multiple levels. This is the 4 anchor strategy. Has anyone heard of this strategy before? Let's see, Melissa, you tend to trail off at the end. Yes, exactly. So you can work on that. I work on that too. So has anyone heard of this 4 anchor strategy, right? It's new to Rebecca, new to several of you. Okay. So this strategy is my go-to. It works every flipping time. I'm so excited to share it with you. I can't wait for you to just scribble down some notes and use it the next time you present. Even if it's a room of a comp stat room of a couple people, right? Maybe 20 people, it still works, right? 4 anchor strategy. So imagine that this box right here is your audience, okay? You show up to your presentation. Do not show up on time. Show up early, okay? I 100% always, always, always show up early, even if it's just 5 minutes, right? And here's what I do. I walk around to the 4 corners of the room, to the right top, to the right rear, to the left top, to the left rear. And I make contact with 4 people who seem very, very friendly, right? And I ask them a little bit about themselves. I'm not going to remember what agency they're from because that's too much for my brain. If it's some like long name that I won't remember, I'm not going to ask them that. I might ask them, what's your favorite part of your job? Or they might have like a pin on them and I might ask them about the pin, or they might be, a dog person and I ask them about their dog or whatever, right? So I get to know the 4 friendly faces in the 4 corners of the audience. That's key. Even if it's 5 minutes, getting to know them. That's only 4 things to remember. Because when you present, Fran and Morgan, when you present, you want to connect with your audience, right? So how do you connect with them? You get to know them beforehand. And you can't get to know everybody. So get to know 4 people in each of the areas. And then as you present, right? So you're asking them questions, and often I will, talk with someone, I'll run back and I'll say, okay, Julia said Julia likes dogs. She has a dog named Toady, or whatever, right? So I write it down. And then I move around the room. I get to know as many people as I can, but I really document in my brain, maybe even on a piece of paper, these 4 people, right? And those are my anchors. So as I'm presenting, yes, Demetrius, as I'm presenting, I might say, I'm looking at Julia in that far left-hand corner. I'm looking at Lorraine in this close left-hand corner. I'm looking at Rebecca in this right-hand area. And then I'm looking at, Sarah in the far right corner. And so my eyes are going to people who we've built a semi relationship with. I feel more confident because they're like nodding, right? Because they're nice. I wouldn't do this with not nice people, and so not that there's many not nice people, but the friendly faces, the ones that I'm talking about, right? So then as I'm giving my presentation, I might say, let's say I'm talking about burglaries, right? And so I might say, Julia, if she was the victim of a burglary, her dog, Toady or Toad, so I would bring her into the conversation, right? I would apply something specific about her to the conversation. Maybe I found out that Rebecca was a student and she was looking to get a job in crime analysis. I might say something like, Rebecca, I know, I might be presenting up here and saying, these are the key things that every agency needs to know. And then I might turn to Rebecca, the student, and say, Rebecca, you have an upper hand being a student because now you know what everybody should know. So I connect people to the conversation using this 4-corner strategy. And I will tell you, this works every single time. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel better that I know some friendly faces that at least I know one thing about, and it allows me to connect with my crowd. So the 4-anchor strategy, there's lots of strategies that I could teach you around walking, not standing in front of a podium, all that stuff. But the 4-anchor strategy is the #1 strategy that I use. And I love it. It feels so good to be presenting and having some friendly faces. And you'll notice the engagement in the room is much better when other people see 4 people engaging. It's a wonderful technique, right? So Demetrius says, when people are more engaged with the speaker, it also encourages me to be more engaged so that I don't get caught off guard in case I'm called upon. Yes, exactly, right? Exactly. So there's so much psychology behind this particular strategy, the people, the different visuals, as well as that connection piece and a couple of other things. You can do your research on it, but it is quite a helpful strategy. And I hope it helps you. All right. Shantu, if you are listening to this presentation, that one's for you. All right. So this section, to wrap it up, we talked about some effective language to use, right? So not too many jokes, kind of limiting the likes, the ums. That takes practice. It really, really does. It just takes practice. Proper pitch and inflection, really making sure that you don't ask questions in your paragraphs, in your sentences. Don't do that. And, be able to articulate proper pitch and inflection. So when you're giving your CompStat presentation, burglaries are up, and here is why, right? Very confidently, right? Keep your rhythm, be able to bring yourself back to a rhythm. Bring yourself back to a rhythm, okay? And then, of course, that 4 anchor strategy. If that strategy was helpful to anybody here, go ahead and type in the number 4. It's super easy. It's a little button on your keyboard or your phone. Press the number 4 if that was helpful for you. All right, fantastic. I see that it's helpful for so many of you. Dan Foster, Laura, oh my gosh, Tanya, good to see you here. Tina, Rodney, good. Emily, it's good for many of you. So that's the specialty one that I wanted to share with this group here. Beautiful. Jenna, it's helpful. Amber, fantastic. Next, we're going to talk about structure strategy. So we're about halfway through at this point. So we're going to have structure strategy, and then I'm going to give you some tips, and then we're going to go ahead and bring you on. So if you're thinking to yourself, wow, I have some stuff I want to work through, and I want to be the one that she calls on, get ready, because we're gonna give you some coaching right here on the spot. And there's no judgment in any way. I'm sure I've said a couple times. There's no judgment. So we just want to serve you today. So let us serve you. Okay, structure strategy. So here's the structure you want to build. Now, it's a little bit different, right? So if you're giving a 10-minute presentation versus a 5-day presentation versus a 1 hour and 30-minute presentation, it's always a little bit different. But in general, here's the structure, right? You have a pre-strategy, which I'm going to share with you what that can be, a presentation design structure, right? That helps drive in your information, and then a post strategy. So these are the 3 things that we're going to talk about in this 3rd section, structure strategy. Okay, so the pre-strategy, ask others what they want to know. Ask others what they want to know. So that 4-pronged, the 4-anchor approach, I might even say, what's your biggest challenge, right? I love that question. What's your biggest gap right now? That if we answered that in this presentation, that it would feel like you spent your time here well. All right, I love using that line. I use it a lot. I say, okay, if you're going to sit here for an hour, if you were to learn one thing, what would it be? Well, how can we make this successful for you, right? So again, it depends on your audience. If you did that in a CompStat meeting, it might not make a ton of sense, right? So it really depends on your audience. But I might say to someone, just like I did to you, I said, what is it that you want to know about public speaking? What is it that you want to know? And many of you said, I want to know how to build my confidence. Well, now we have buy-in, we have a relationship building. Ask others what they want to know. So if you're getting up in front of a podium of 200 people, ask them, what do you want to know? Have a board that you're writing it down in. That's what we did in Saudi Arabia when I was teaching out there a couple of months ago. We did a 5-day course for military and police on building analytical capacity. And I said, what do you want to know? What that allows us to do is identify the key gap areas. And it also, if the presentation is not directed toward that, then it allows us to have feedback as to what else they want to learn about. But one of the greatest ways that you can utilize this is a flipboard. So I had this flip chart going, and I wrote down everything in Saudi Arabia that they wanted to learn about. And as we learned it, I would say this. I would say, okay, you wanted to learn about data quality improvement strategies, because it was written right there, right? So you wanted to learn about data quality strategies, improvement strategies. We've just discussed 3 strategies. Do you feel like you have some tools to help move you forward? And they would say yes, and I would exit out, and I would cross it right off, and I'd say, great, let's move on to the next topic. Right? This is a wonderful tool that you can use to really connect with your people. And if it's a virtual training like this, maybe you scribble it down. An in-person training, it's wonderful to be able to write it down and then show them that you're crossing it off so that you all are connecting about what you're delivering. All right. A pre-strategy too is to practice, practice, practice. Just practice, just do it, just do it, just practice. Get in front of a mirror, get in front of people, practice. The more you practice, the more confident you feel. So at this point in my career, I present quite a bit, and sometimes I will be put on the spot and someone will say, "Oh, Dawn is going to present." And I'm like, "What? No one ever told me that." But I don't say that. I just hold it in and then I present. My chief actually did that to me a few months ago. He introduced me to the command staff and he said, "Okay, Dawn, tell us in, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes about everything that you do." I was like, okay, here we go. So you got to practice because it really gives you tools for when you're put on the spot. It gives you tools to be successful in one-on-one conversations as well as in group settings. Meditate or sit quietly. So before this presentation here, I took about 10 minutes and I listened to some music. So for me, I love violins. I think they sound so calming, so relaxing. And so I listened to some violins. I know it's odd, but that's what I enjoy. And that just kind of centers me and gets me connected for the delivery, right? So plug some time into your day to do that. All right. And then envision success. So instead of envisioning like I'm nervous, right? Oh, good, Brittany. I'm so glad you love that music too. And so envisioning success, I envisioned this training. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the opportunity to impact 388 people. I know that they're going to walk away at least with one thing each that they're going to do. Hopefully, intentionally, they're going to walk away with 10 things to do. They're going to walk away a little bit more confident. And so I envisioned all of this happening. Okay. So envision your success. This is your pre-strategy, envisioning your success. Now, the presentation design flow looks like this. You have a cover page that says what you're going to talk about, right? So public speaking, that's my cover page. And then a little page about you. Now you might not need a page about you in your ComStat meeting, right? But maybe for a presentation that you're delivering to ISCA, you're going to want a picture of you in there and maybe a little bit about who you are, right? And be careful here because you don't want to ramble on about all the reasons why you're so fabulous, right? We know you're fabulous. And so some people go either way. They talk forever about how fabulous they are because they want to prove that they're amazing, or they don't say anything at all. Get somewhere in the middle, maybe 2 or 3 key things that you have done that really gives some validity to who you are and that there's a purpose for why you're there. So that's a good technique. Talk about the 3 things that you're going to talk about, right? Say them out loud. Here are the 3 things that we're going to talk about today. And then the why. Don't forget this. Why we are talking about this, right? Why we are doing this. Get focused in on that why every single time. And it's important to do this because when you're giving your presentation, you might kind of float a little bit, and knowing your why will bring you back to, oh, the purpose is for them to walk away with tools. Is my story too long? Am I going over my time? The purpose is for them to walk away with tools. So get your purpose down. Starting the sections with the same images. You'll notice that I started all my sections with this little circle, right? Let's see if we can back it up a little bit. There you go. There it is. The structure strategy. Every single new section started with a little circle and then with the 3 things that we're going to talk about. Okay, so have that consistency, that flow happening. Here's the circle, it's up, it's a new session. Here are the 3 points that we're going to talk about, deliver the 3 points, and then your content recap, right? So you noticed in this presentation, I told you what we were going to talk about. We talked about the 3 things, and then I recapped what we were talking about, right? Yes, Rebecca, knowing your why is so important. And so you repeat this structure, right? And then at the very end, you're going to have your summary and your questions. But keep it clean, keep it, consistent, clean and consistent. Not a lot of things flowing in, and not a lot of, blinks and, kind of live stuff like that can just get overwhelming and confusing. Keep it simple. And now your post strategy. What do you do when you're done? What happens? So if you have told people, hey, I don't know the answer to that, I'm gonna go find the answer to that and I'm gonna follow up with you, make sure you follow up. Okay. Provide follow-up That has to be primary. That has to be key. And that's why I said to all of you, write your questions in the chat. I'm going to review all the questions and I'm going to make sure that every single one of them were answered during this presentation. And if not, I'm going to get back to you. And you betcha I am. I absolutely am. Okay. So provide the follow-up that you promised to provide. That is key. Okay, now many of you will deliver a presentation and the first thing you do, someone says to you, great job. And you're like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or oh, I didn't say that, or I forgot that, or I spoke too quickly, or I didn't tell them what I wanted to tell them. So you automatically go to the negative. So I'm going to pause for a moment here. This is critical. This is critical. Write this one down. Assess what worked first. What was amazing? That's you, Gretchen. Yeah. So for Gretchen and for any of you who are just like Gretchen, who you automatically find what you did wrong. I'm sure I've done 50 things wrong during this presentation already, including my Italian coming out, using my hands way too much, right? Kamika, this is you too. So we can say these things to ourselves the first thing, but that's only a small portion of the presentation. So the first thing you want to do is highlight what worked, right? Highlight what worked. Highlight what worked. And so that's going to help build your confidence too. So when I walk away from this presentation, it's going to be very easy for me to say, oh, Dawn, you screwed up in this way. But instead, what I'm going to say, Dawn, what worked? And one of the things that works great is interacting, the chat. That worked fantastic. One of the things that worked great is GeoTime, setting this up, delivering social media, getting folks enrolled, taking care of all that. One of the things that worked great, is the questions ahead of time and ensuring that we answered them for you. So assess what works well, what worked well first. Then you can only identify one or two growth areas. Do not give yourself a big, huge laundry list of everything that's bad about your presentation. Okay, tell yourself, okay, this worked great. I'm going to do that again. Second, these are the one or two, that's it, the one or two areas of improvement that I'm going to make. So I might say to myself at the end of a presentation, this is something that works very well. And then I might say, I really want to focus my next presentation on limiting my ums. That's the only thing I'm going to focus on, limiting my ums. Right? So you have one or two things that you're focusing on, not the 50 things that you think you did wrong. All right. So that's important. Growth areas, one or two. Okay, so structure, that's what we're talking about right now. Practice and envision your success, right? Envisioning your success, practicing your pregame, right? This is the pregame. This is what happens before the show. So envision your success, practice, ask those questions. Does that develop that quality design flow? Those three key areas, right? The circles to start, the tell them what you're going to tell them, the meat and potatoes, and then a recap in some what you have said. Okay. And then at the end, praising yourself. Dawn, you did a good job. Here's what you did really well. And then only working on one or two areas of improvement. Only one or two. All right. Okay, if you are ready for the bonus tips and tricks, go ahead and type in, I am ready. Let's see, Brittany says, how can we ensure our presentations are accessible? Are there, I lost it. Are there any ways in person that we can what can we do to help with that? Brittany, I'm not sure I understand. How can we ensure our presentations are accessible? Do you mean printing them out for your folks? I guess I'm not quite clear on Brittany's question. And maybe Julia, I know we just had a ton of posts right now. Maybe you could help me find what Brittany is talking about here and make sure I'm answering that question. All right, so many of you are ready. You are ready for the bonus tips. Fantastic. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of you chiming on in here. Any special tips for cross-cultural presentations? Oh, that's good. So, I would say it's when I was in Saudi Arabia, I had to be very aware of their culture there were a couple of things in their culture that I had to be aware of ahead of time. And that's your pregame, Emily. So before I taught in Saudi Arabia, I did a lot of research. I spoke with a lot of people and I asked, what is it that I need to know about presenting? So I learned that the men and the women, there's not women in policing, right? It's women just started driving in 2019, right? The culture is a little bit different. It's a different kind of country than the United States of America, right? So I really needed to understand how their politics worked to make sure that I didn't kind of tell them anything that wasn't true in terms of building analytical capacity. I wanted to know their culture. And one of the things that I learned about their culture, I learned that I needed to cover my body fully, right? So in USA, I could kind of have my sleeves up and, I was fine. But in different countries, I knew that I had to cover my body in a different way, right? I knew that the men and women, the men don't get really close to the women. You don't shake hands. It's kind of awkward to shake somebody else, a woman to shake a man's hand sometimes in some cultures. And that was my experience in Saudi Arabia. Some of them shook my hand and some of them didn't. Some of them wanted to create space. So I had to be very aware of their culture, why they were creating space. And it was a male-female thing. It was a respect thing. They wanted to respect me. So it was very important for me to do my research ahead of time. Hopefully that explains a little bit, Emily. Just knowing, and that really lends to the concept of knowing your audience anyway. If I teach in Phoenix, Arizona, it's going to be different than when I'm teaching in Texas. I'm going to go down to Talia and I ask them, what are some of the beliefs? What are some of the key concepts that I need to know when I'm in Tennessee that are different from the rest of the country? And so asking those questions ahead of time are absolutely part of your pregame. Okay. Let's see. Any modification, extra tips for one-on-one presentations, presenting a new idea or discussion of promotion? I would say one of the things that I would always recommend is ask questions. Get curious. Ask more questions than you're talking, right? Ask more questions than you're talking, because then you can discover what is important to that person. And you can help to see if in fact the promotion is available to you. Hopefully that helps. Ask questions. Brittany says, I meant when dealing with people with different abilities. This basically answered that in a different way. Okay, good. All right, great, Brittany and Emily. Okay, great. All right, so I think I got everything there. If I missed anything, definitely let me know here. Okay. Tips for moving around during presentations. Move around. Wear extra deodorant, not extra perfume. Wear extra deodorant, not extra perfume, and move around. You will very rarely see me at a podium. You will unless I have to be, unless there's like something attached to me, I will not be there. I will walk around the room. I will rearrange the room. I will engage. I will move my body. I will walk, make sure that there's paths that I can walk down, up. I will present from the back of the room. So when you create a different environment, folks are a little bit more involved. That's for a larger group. For a smaller group, you might decide to put them in a circle. So arrangements could, the physical arrangement could really, you don't have to keep the room the way it's organized. You can kind of arrange it. When everybody sits in the back of the room, I say to them, come on up. Come on up. We're going to get to know each other a little bit better. Or I don't have my glasses on, which I rarely teach with my glasses. So that's the truth. And I say, I can't see you. Come on, come up. So I would say, you feel stuck behind the podium. I would say, don't get away from the podium, get a clicker, or have maybe an intern or a friend of yours kind of pressing the button for you. If there's no clicker available to you, pressing the button to the presentation. So I would definitely recommend that. Okay. So let's go on to bonus tips and tricks. We have about 20 minutes and I want to make sure I get in all your questions and we have some time for Q&A. All right. Or practice. All right. So we are going to answer what do I do questions, which a lot of you are asking those questions right now. So it's perfect. I have a bonus video in here that we're not going to have time to look at the bonus video here, but Julia's going to go ahead and give you a link to this bonus video. It's a short little video about, I worked with a public speaking professional. I had her come into my group and talk to a bunch of analysts privately about how they can improve their public speaking. And she did a wonderful job. So I've provided the link to that video for all of you to go back and take a peek at. And then we're going to get to practice time. Thank you, Julia just posted that bonus video. So copy that and save it for later. Okay. All right. So what do I do if the audience is on the phone talking or distracted? Isn't that the worst? Are any of you on your cell phone right now? Get off. And so that can be very, very distracting. And so here's what I have to say to that. Set the stage first. I'll often start a training, especially an in-person training, just like this. I'll say to folks, I say this in every 5-day class that I teach. I say, look, we are all professionals here. We all have families. I know that you're probably going to get interrupted at some point during this presentation here. I'm going to ask you to hold on, look at your Facebook, during the break. I say, I'm going to give you plenty of breaks. So look at your Facebook, look at your emails, do what you got to do during the breaks. And what we'll do is we'll kind of gauge your breaks as we go. And if you feel like you still don't have enough time, we're going to go ahead and expand your breaks. But in return, I ask that you put your cell phones aside during the presentation. Does that work for you? And most people are like, yeah, of course that works for me, right? Of course that works for me. And so set the stage, revisit the expectations, really being able to say, like, let's say when I was in Saudi Arabia, I was trying to connect. And one of the improvement strategies that I made as a result of that 5-day training was I discovered how to table conversation better. I was really trying to connect. And so they wanted to know about American culture. They wanted to know about American policing, why marijuana is illegal in California and not in New Hampshire. And so they really didn't understand this decentralized approach to policing overall and to rules and regulations. And what I really what I've done since then is table those discussions and say, yeah, these are really great. I'm going to put these here. And if we have time at the end of this session, we're going to come back to some of these that are not necessarily related to the presentation. Does that work for you? So really setting up the expectations, delivering a plan of action, right? And being able to say, let's table that. I'm okay with saying that in a presentation. I'm okay with saying, let's table that so that we can make sure that that we're delivering the content of the training, but that's important. I'm going to write it down and we're going to get back to it. And I say that. Okay. All right. Is that helpful for anyone? Is that helpful? What if I discover my time is running out, but I have more slides to talk about, right? What if I discover that? Okay, more slides to go. In the introduction, you're going to say, hey, we have a lot to really get through today, right? Or this week or whatever it might be. We have a lot to get through over the next 90 minutes and we're going to do our best to stay on track. And whatever we don't get to, we're going to give to you in updated materials. And then you kind of get yourself off the hook a little bit and you get that follow-up activity afterwards. Okay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to kind of go through your slides really fast and just say everything on the slide. Oh my Lord, I've been in those presentations where I'm like, there's 18 slides left and they just speed through them. I might, in fact, really just say, this slide here shares 5 tips. It's in your document. Go ahead and take a look at that, and we'll get to it, X, Y, and Z, right? Margaret says, presenting information to people or communities that are not receptive to the data or the information you are providing. You're not going to please anyone. That's that equanimity thing, right? Knowing your purpose, knowing why you're there, knowing why you're delivering. Like right now, someone could be listening to this presentation or the recording of it saying, I know all of this. I know all of this, and that's okay. But I bet you at least half of you are finding some value. And those are the folks that I'm focusing in on, right? In the alternative, what do I do when I end a presentation really early? Well, this is the fun part. You get to really explore and be interactive, go back to one of your slides and take that slide and say, let's dissect this further. What challenge have you seen in this area? I love asking that question. What gaps do you see from where you are right now to where you want to be? And let's figure out a way to get you there. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you, more, to say, what gaps, what challenges are you facing right now after listening to this presentation, and what can serve you. Yeah, Stephen, you're not going to please everybody. Yeah, yes, that's some fabulous language to use. What gaps are you experiencing? What challenges are you having? Okay, great questions. And what do I do when someone asks a question that I don't know the answer to? Have you ever been there where you've asked someone asks a question and you're like, I have no flipping clue? Say it. Don't jump around. Just, you know what? I don't know what so if you're at a ComStat meeting and the chief says, you said that commercial burglaries are up, which ones are repeat? And you have no clue. Ugh, right? So you might say to yourself, you know what, chief, I'm not sure, but it'll take me about 10 minutes after this meeting to go figure that out. What's the best way to get that information to you? Texting or email, right? And then you make sure you do it, right? So saying that you don't know is okay, but saying also how you're going to follow up with them is critical too, right? So I'm not sure, let me dig a little bit and I'll get back to you within the next half hour. Does that work for you? That's great language to you. So Gretchen, that's your main fear. Oh my gosh, Gretchen, I've done so many presentations and I'm like, oh my God, they're asking me about SQL. I don't know a darn thing about SQL. So I will say, I don't know SQL. I cannot write script for you, but I do know someone who's really good at SQL. Let me connect you to. Right? So you want to kind of say, deliver the I don't know, but what action can you or they take, right, to really support that? Yeah. And then being able to say, here's how I can support you in that growth, right? In that growth. Okay. All right. I think I answered the questions there. Let's see. Dealing with someone in the audience that disagrees with you and constantly asks questions after you're done can be very challenging. Yes, that happened to you recently and it was so frustrating. Yeah, it sure can be. It can be very frustrating when someone's negating everything that you're saying. And you might say to that person, you and I can talk after this presentation because I feel like you have a different angle that I don't quite understand yet. So let me get through this presentation and then you and I can explore each other's thoughts a little bit deeper. Does that work for you? Right? And so that's a great way to say zip it and really not embarrass that person. So I don't quite understand, all of the intricacies. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. It would be really interesting to talk to you afterwards. Let's wrap this up and then you and I could talk after the training. All right. Yeah, Brittany, I like that approach too. Here's that bonus video and Julia, just go ahead. She put it in the chat for you, so make sure you've copied that. Deliver your message with excellence. You belong. If no one told you this, you belong. You are the lifeblood of your agency. What you say will change a lot of lives, okay? It doesn't matter who's in the room. It matters the value that you provide. Chiefs have their own issues. You are the CEO of Crime Analysis. You are the CEO. Deliver excellence. Okay, be the person that's rising the room to the next level. All right, it matters. The value you provide matters. Whatever presentation you're delivering, okay, whatever opinion you have, it matters. So you're never messing up, right? If you focus on the mess up, then you've messed up, but you're never messing up. People aren't going to remember all the things that you did wrong if your intention, if your delivery, if you've provided value to them, okay? Mostly. And learning how to communicate is a journey. And so it could take you a little time to really get deep into this journey, but practice. Sergeant Paskett, a lot of times our supervisors are in the meeting with us and are listening to our presentation, and that makes everyone more nervous, especially when you're not the greatest at speaking when others in your group are the same. Yeah, I can understand that. I've worked with, oh my gosh, so many chiefs, so many lieutenants, captains, deputy chiefs, and guess what? They're just as a mess as you are. They really, really are. They have their own insecurities. Okay. And so if you get in your mind, I am providing value, and do it, provide the value, then you're helping, you're providing good information to the conversation. You're the best thing they have toward understanding that information. You are the one in it all the time. So know your value and know your intention. Laura agrees. Absolutely. Laura has done a lot of work on this too. Okay. We are ready for practice time. We're going to take about 5 or 7 minutes to do some practice time here. Right? So if you want to be the practice person, okay, we have 2 slides. So we got 2 people. If you want to be the practice person, go ahead and raise your hands. And Julia's going to tell me who it is, who's going to be that practice person. So it is now practice time. S. Moore says, "You are amazing, Dawn. This was so worth the time. Thank you. I'll look out for your book." Oh, fantastic. I appreciate you. And we have a couple of other things after practice time that I'm going to share with you, S. Moore. So stay tuned. We have a couple more things before this presentation is over. So who is it that's going to do the practice time with me today? Julia, do we have any hands raised? Anyone that you have selected today?
Nobody has their hands raised yet.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's because you can't find where the button is.
Well, you can put it in the chat too, say me. And I'll get started on this first one. Julia, just interrupt me when you have a person there, okay?
Yep, we do have one. We have Michelle.
All right.
So Michelle, I'm going to give you permission to talk, and you should see the mic button come out and you can come on and say hi.
Hey there, this is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. What agency are you from? Well, actually, you don't have to tell me that. What state are you in?
Maryland.
All right. Welcome, Maryland. Glad you are here. Okay. So what do you think of the presentation so far?
I think it's outstanding, and I think your energy is infectious.
All right. I love it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right. You ready to get started?
Sure.
I'm going to preface this with, this is a learning exercise for everybody here. So I'm going to pick apart a little bit about what you and how you say things. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So I'd like you to read these, or I'd like you to present these 3 lines to me today.
Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I went to the store to buy dog food. I bought dog food and brought it home. My dog ate that dog food.
You've done this before.
Once or twice.
Oh, you're fantastic. Yes. So what typically happens in this scenario is someone pops on and they said, I went to the store to buy dog food, right? And it's like, it's a question, right? Michelle didn't do that. She was like, I went to the store to buy dog food. Did you hear her inflection? Did you hear her pronunciation? Did you hear her tone? Her rhythm? I went to the store to buy dog food. I bought dog food and brought it home. My dog ate that dog food. You saw how she pressed on ate, because that's what the important thing is, right? Michelle, you're a flipping rock star. Thank you so much. I have no critique for you. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Does anyone else want to practice the next one? Now, this one is not about dogs. It's about burglaries. So we have just a moment or two. Don't be intimidated by Michelle. She's practiced already, okay? So you go ahead and pop on in here and let me know if you would like a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of help with this particular one. Julia, do we have anyone who's popping on here?
Not yet. Just a reminder, the raise hand button, I believe it should be at the bottom of your screen. Oh, we do have one. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have a few. Okay. Let's do S. Moore, since I've seen them in the chat participating a lot. You should be able to talk now.
Awesome. Welcome, S. Moore. What's your name?
Sylvia.
Sylvia, thank you so much for joining in today and for having the courage to come in front of everybody here and practice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So are you a presenter? Do you present?
Yeah, yes, but not as well as I like. I'll say that.
Okay. All right. So you ready to dig a little bit? Are you okay if I kind of tear you apart a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now just regular flow. Go ahead and present this content to me today.
Okay. Burglaries have increased 49%. commercial burglaries in the downtown area involving ATM thefts have seen the largest increase. We checked past months and searched prison releases and have 3 potential suspects.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat, go ahead and let us know how you think she did. How do you think you did? Sylvia, how do you think you did?
5.
Really? Okay. What was positive about what you did?
Well, the pace, I liked my pace.
I liked your pace too. Yeah. What else was positive about what you did?
Positive. Not sure.
Okay. What do you think you need to improve on?
I think I could improve on the inflection, the emphasis, as you said, the tone.
It's so interesting that you say that, because in the chat, I'm reading that these people thought your tone and your inflection was great.
Oh,
Yes, they have rated you an 8, 9. Oh, you spoke clearly. Your pace was 100%. They were quite impressed with you.
oh, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And so I will say you did a really, really good job. And one of the things to think about as you're delivering is your why. What's the message? What's the important thing that you want to get across? Like when you're looking at this data, this summary here, what's the most important thing that you want to get across, Sylvia?
Stay safe, go home, because these burglaries are out there everywhere.
Right, exactly. And also that there are 3 potential suspects, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Robert, MOS is short for modus operandi, so MOs. So we checked past the MOs in our system and we searched prison releases and we came up with these 3 suspects, right? Yeah, MOs. Sorry about that. That should have been a capital. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that threw you off too, Sergeant. Okay. And so, one of the things that you might want to think about as you're delivering something like this is getting through the stuff that doesn't matter or skipping it altogether, right? And really focusing on the delivery of the important piece, that why. You know what, Chief, burglaries have increased to 49%. Specifically, commercial burglaries in downtown involving ATM thefts, those have seen the largest increase. We checked the MOs, we searched for prison releases, and we can't come up with 3 suspects. Here are the 3 suspects. We've worked with detectives to blah, 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 right? And she doesn't know any of this. Sylvia does not know any of this. She's just here reading this, right? Right. So Sylvia, I think you did a wonderful job. I think you did a good job. I think your pace was good. I think your tone was good. I think I could detect a little bit of I'm not quite confident, but I think that was because you have 388 people here. Maybe?
That, yes. And that's, I think, too, just feeling more committed and passionate about what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So let's cut out that nervousness. And I only detected this much of it, right? So let's cut that out. And I want you to read that last section to me. You were in the middle of a ComStat. Imagine, here's the scenario. You're at a ComStat meeting. There's the chief, 2 deputies, all your command staff, let's say 10 captains, probation, parole is there. And you have, your stats are sitting in front of people and you're going to deliver this last message, right? This last message. Go ahead and share that knowing your scenario now, envisioning it, share that last section about past MOs.
We checked past MOs and searched prison releases and have 3 potential suspects.
Yeah. So good. You still sound like you're reading. You still sound like just a teeny bit. Talk to me. Tell me. I'm the chief. What did you discover, Sylvia?
Well, we checked past MOs and searched prison releases and have 3 potential suspects.
Yes. Do you feel the difference?
Yes.
So at first you're like, oh, I got to read it. We checked, right? And now you're like, hey, chief, we checked. Past MOs, we searched prison releases and we have 3 potential suspects, right? So overall, you're pretty confident, and overall your presentation is very, very well. There's not a whole lot to really dissect, but if I were to say anything, it would be talk to me instead of read to me. That would be it for you.
Okay, okay.
Everyone gave you a 10. Look at that. Everyone gave you a 10 over here. I see all kinds of 10s. Lisa says improved inflection, nice pace. And she said, now you don't sound nervous or rushed. Beautiful. I like it. Adam says, on Zoom presentations, do you give yourself a screen or bullet notes? Yes. So Adam, can you see? I don't know if you can see this, probably not. But these are my notes. Sylvia, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone give her a high five in the chat. You did great. I'm so thankful for you. You helped this presentation so wonderfully, and you really did a wonderful job, a great job presenting. You did good, very, very well. So Adam, I always print out my printouts just in case anything happens. And then I have my scribble, my little notes to make sure I say the things that I want to say. So the answer is yes. I have my bullets usually on a piece of paper so that I can just throw them when I'm done with them. I like the dramatic throw. All right. Kelly says, make sure you know the media. I had a thumb drive and it was CD. Yes, exactly. So that's a great tip, Kelly, is to make sure that you have the thumb drive with you, a printout. You don't always need a presentation. This is my help, right? But really, we could have this conversation. We could have it. It was easier because I can't see. Oops, let's see. It was easier because we can't see each other, but I think I was still a bit nervous. Yeah, you did great. You did great. When you misread something, should you say, excuse me, and reread it, or just repronounce it and keep on going? So, I'm trying to understand. So you're talking about if the presentation says one word and then I missay it, like if I said months and I meant to say MOs, are you asking me if I say, excuse me? Yeah, if I screw up, I say, oh, pardon me, I'll go back to it and say, it says practice time. Like maybe I said it says lunchtime and I'm like, oh, no, not yet. It says practice time. Is that what you mean? Is that what you mean, Dimitri? Okay. All right. So the wrap up really is, and we have one section after this, so hang tight with us. We have about 8 minutes left, and I want to give you some last comments after this wrap up section here, as well as an open session forum. So thank you, Tina, for volunteering. I know we just ran out of time. Maybe you and I can get together privately and we can do it over the phone. Maybe that might be something that we can do, Tina. So in sum, you belong, you are the lifeblood. What you have to say is going to change so many lives. You know way more than they do. Know that. You know way more than they do. They know the policy stuff. You know the data. You're the master of the data. You're the CEO, right? You're the CEO of the data. What ifs don't have to stump you. So think about it, right? I invited Tina on and then the mute button didn't unmute for her. And I had to not invite Tina on because we're running out of time, right? And I have a couple more things I want to get through. So what if something happened to me, right? It just did. I say, Tina, maybe you and I can get on the phone afterwards and work through your specific issue. I mean, she volunteered. That's freaking amazing. I want to honor her for that, right? So that's what I'll do. So you're going to have hiccups in your presentation and you just have to manage them in a way that makes sense, right? Brittany says, I love that you're adding belonging into this. By the way, yes, we belong. We belong. We belong. I'm going to do another YouTube. If you're not already part of the YouTube page, subscribe. It's YouTube Excellence in Analytics. I'm going to do a YouTube on belonging. I've had multiple analysts feel like they don't belong because they're not sworn. So they shouldn't be, suffering or upset or sad because they're not sworn. I have so many thoughts on that. I can't wait. I can't wait to get in on that. Demetra says, if you pronounce something, I feel myself get hot and keep going, not to bring attention to my mistake. It's definitely a confidence issue. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it's okay to just go because someone might say, oh, that's how, is it supposed to be pronounced that way, right? Like they don't know, you don't know. If you make a mistake, keep going. It's okay. I've made quite a few on this presentation and I just keep on going because I'm not perfect, right? But it's okay. It's okay. So what ifs don't have to stump you, move on from that. And then of course, practice, practice, practice. So the presentation here really is about confidence being that mindset. So go back to the materials and look at how you can build your mindset and build your confidence. Language, tone, and delivery are so key, really delivering that key messaging, right? That key messaging when it's important to deliver. Design a quality rhythmic structure. Don't get too complicated. 3, 3, 3, and you're done. And within that 3, you tell them what you're going to talk about it, and then you're done. Wrap it up. Okay. And then practice and adjust for challenges. Challenges are going to happen. Adjust for the challenges. They happen every single time, and they are likely to happen to you. And expect them. I expect challenges. I expect something to break. I hope it doesn't, but I expect something to go wrong. And when it does, I just go with it. It's okay. Okay. So I have a couple things I want to share with you before we pop off here. Many of you saw that last October we came out with I came out with my first book, the bestseller, Bigger Than Data, and it was for analysts to really understand how to have that work-life harmony component. It complements one of the programs that we have, which is for analysts, right? But it's a wonderful tool. It's a short little read. If you haven't gotten yours already, go to excellenceinaanalytics.com and check under the book tab, and you will see it there. And then, the second book, oh my gosh, not even a year later, I think 10 months later, book number 2, we're doing a little, that the cover has not been fully revealed yet. So you guys get a sneak peek. It's coming out, well, I think it came out at 3:50 today on our social media. But we have a second book for building analytical infrastructure, and that is going to be coming out August 10th, building analytical infrastructure. And so the first book is really for the analysts, and the second book is for those who are building analytical design in your agency. You want to know how to have data quality, how to have buy-in, how to have all the things, right? So our second book, but August 10th coming out. And if you want to be on our email list to know when that, as well as other things come out, go ahead and you can go to Excellence in Analytics on Facebook, our page, and like us there, and you'll see everything that you need to see. We do have crime analysis school. I'm so thankful for GeoTime to really, allow me this time, the next couple minutes to share. We do have crime analysis schools. If you don't already know about them, we have School for Crime Analysts, and we've changed up the enrollment. So our analyst school is going to start in January, and our leadership school, our analyst supervisor leadership school, starts in October 4th. And we have already enrollment almost filled, or filling up rather. So you want to make sure you get our summer discount to be in our leaders program, which starts October 2022. And this is a 9-month program that brings you through everything you need to know about how to be a leader in a law enforcement environment. So we have, how to build your leadership, how to create buy-in, how to build everything you need, not only for your own leadership, but to build proper analytical capacity. So I'm really, really excited for that. Yes, Sylvia, work-life excellence. I believe we can be law enforcement professionals and have an amazing life, right? We don't have to do one or the other. We can do both. And the book really helps, and the book and the training helps analysts do just that. So the Crime Analysis Leadership School starts in October. I know many of you have been reaching out to me asking for the enrollment link. It is on all of my social media at Excellence in Analytics on Facebook. Go ahead and like the page, on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Come and find me, Dawn Reby. And we have the Crime Analysis Leadership School marked at a big summer discount that folks are jumping on at right now, that 9-month program. Oh, thank you, Demetrius, for posting that. I appreciate it. And so many agencies, many analysts and supervisors are working with their chiefs and executives to get into leadership school, but you don't have to wait for them. You can invest in yourself. Leadership is a transferable skill. You can be a leader anywhere in any agency, and even in the private sector. So leadership school is very, very important for anyone who's looking to up level themselves. So if we only accept 20 students, that's it for the entire year. And then enrollment will be October 2023. So if you want to be in leadership school, make sure that you dive in right now. Reach out to me directly and we'll make sure we get you in, all right, at that summer discounted price. here are some faces of our success stories. We actually have quite a few others in our programs, but the faces just don't fit here quite yet. But I'm so proud of each and every one of those. Yes, we have Annie in here. She's one of our leadership supports. So she helps with our leadership team and provides some tools for them. But we have so many success stories with our analysts, with our leaders. We've actually had quite a few analysts transition to the private sector in program management, which has been a pleasure helping them transition. So our coaching programs and our leadership in our crime analysis programs help at multiple levels. No, Lori's not in here. Laura is in here. I see a Laura, Chris, Ria, Jen, Sergeant Roy, all kinds of folks in here. So there we go. So I want to end this with, you are the CEO. Wow, it is 4:30 on the dot. We did good, Julia. We did very well. Be the CEO of crime analysis. Be the CEO of your life. I want to thank GeoTime for allowing this partnership to happen. This is a topic that so many analysts want to know about, public speaking. And my hope for you is that you gained some value here today. Join me on our Excellence in Analytics Facebook page, like our page so that you see it on Facebook. If you're not into Facebook, go to our YouTube, partner with, or not friend me, but connect on LinkedIn, and so that you can always stay in touch. So if this has been helpful for you, if you'd like to continue to see partnerships between me and GeoTime, go ahead and plug in the topic that you want explored so that we can start to get down and dirty and start developing some content for the topic for you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on over to Julia. Thank you once again, all of you, for showing up as your best self today and in your future.
Yes, thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you for putting this together and sharing your experiences and best practices. And like I said right at the beginning, there is nobody better to teach public speaking and effective communication than you. You are an absolute rock star. So thank you for being here today and putting this together.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank all of you for being here today and joining us and taking the time out of your busy schedules to participate. I really hope that you did learn a lot of valuable tips and tricks to help you with public speaking and communicating more effectively. And I think a lot of what Dawn spoke about applies to your jobs and careers, but also it's really useful for even outside of your jobs as well to take with you in everyday life. And maybe you'll all feel like rock star presenters now, and we'll see you on one of our webinars soon. Who knows? So we are past the time, so we are going to close the webinar room in just a moment. Just a quick reminder that you are going to get an email over the next day or so, and that's going to have the recording, your certificate of attendance, any resources that were mentioned today, as well as upcoming webinars that we're running. And also, once I close the webinar room now, there's going to be a survey that pops up, and you can fill out any feedback that you have, any topics that you'd like to see in the future, or anything else that you'd like to share with us. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar room now. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you at our next webinar. Bye, everyone, and thank you, Dawn.
Thank you all so much.